So it's the girl Yona back with another video, and today I will be discussing the type of questions you should be asking your elders when you are researching your genealogy. Now, keep in mind some of your elders are traumatized. Some of them are misinformed. Some of them, they may give you incorrect information, but the storyline is correct. So there are many pros and cons when it comes to getting information from your elders, but the main goal here is to get as much information as you can, and as you do your genealogy, you'll be able to decipher what is true and what is not true. So let's dive right into this video, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and don't forget to share. Now, the top question I asked my elders were, who are my grandparents' parents? You know, I asked them, who are your grandparents? What are their names? What was their birth year? Do you know their birth year? Do you know their birthday? Do you know when they died? Ask them things that are going to be pertaining to your direct lineage. Because I know it can, like when you ask questions about your ancestors or other elders, you will get a lot of information. And you might mess around and have your elders talking about your great aunts and uncles, which is cool. You know, you need that information so you can confirm, kinship to people. But in my opinion, you want to get as much information on your direct ancestors, like your grandparents, your great grandparents, your great great grandparents, and so on and so forth. Get as much information on them, and then use the information you get from you get about your great aunts and uncles and cousins and so on and so forth to confirm the documents and kinship. Okay. Another question I asked them were, of course, do we have Indian in the family? What tribes, do we come from? Is there any documentation? Those are some very important questions to ask. Those are very important key factors. The more detailed you are with the questions, the more answers you could possibly get. But you don't want to be too detailed, because then that can hinder your research, because you may start confusing your elder, and your elder may mess around and give you the wrong information. So try not to be too detailed, but detailed enough to where it can confirm some information you get on your research journey. Okay. Another question I asked my elders were, what states, what areas, what locations, what cities or towns we were, our ancestors or my grandparents used to live in. Those are very important. You want to get as much information on the geographical regions your ancestors and elders were living in, because that will also help confirm a lot of the research and documents you will be getting when you log in or go to the courthouse and look at those documents or whatever. You need as much information as possible to confirm whether or not these documents pertain to your family, okay, or not. So definitely ask about what areas they lived in, your ancestors lived in, your elders lived in, the whole 9 yards. Try to get them to be detailed and correct as possible, because the last thing you want is to have people telling you 3 different locations and none of them are correct, or one of them. So try to get as much correct information as you can. Another question I asked my elders were, what are the stories? What is the family or history of our family? Did we migrate from a different state? Um, did my ancestors, what was their profession? What did they do? Did they sing? Did they do laundry? Were they farmers? Ask those type of questions. Ask questions that will get them to start storytelling. Okay, because when you get your elders to start storytelling and telling you stories about your ancestry, a lot of the information will be helpful, and that's what you need as well. If they give you descriptions of their elders or ancestors or parents or whoever, write down those descriptions too, because that can also help you with a big part of your research as well. Okay, so the biggest thing when it comes to asking questions is ask open-ended questions. Ask questions that are going to get them to talk, and really open up. And don't forget that, um, some elders have been um, triggered. They're suffering from PTSD. Them even talking about the past may upset them. It may upset some of your elders. Talking about being indigenous, they're gonna be like, "What Indian? No, no, no." They're gonna start acting like they just came from a war. So just keep that in mind, because not all elders are going to keep it 100 with you and tell you the truth directly, because either they misinformed, they have forgotten it themselves, or they scared. A lot has happened to keep us from researching and knowing who we are, and they did a lot of damage control on our ancestors and elders. So be mindful on how you ask them these questions, and how you wording these questions as well, because you don't want them to feel attacked or interrogated, or feeling like no one's not really listening to them, or you're just asking questions to judge them or put them down. Don't make them feel that way, because you want them to be as open, and you want them to be as open and willing to answer your questions as much as possible. Okay. Another, let's see, another question I would ask them is, who were they married to? Who were their elders married to? Um, where did they get married at? If they remember. I Oh, this is another good question to ask them too. Ask them if y'all have any family records at the church as well. A lot of indigenous people kept their records in the church. So ask and see if your family was documenting things in the church or store documents there. That's also a good place to look up documents as well. Another question I would ask them is, did they know anything about having um, foreign ancestry? Like example, like European or Asian or South Pacific Islander. It came. Well, my grandma, like pretty much told me, she was like, "Oh, your my grandma, um she would say that she was a slave, and how she had like long hair, and she was like bright skinned, and she was talking about how she's Guinean and stuff like that." And I will always think, okay, what kind of Guinean, like what type, like from where? And she would be like, "Oh, I don't know." She just said she was Guinean. Back then they didn't like really have, that many Guineas, which is true. They just kind of like over time they just went around started naming all these places Guinea. Like there's like four places called Guinea. Guinea, Papua New Guinea, French Guyana or Guinea, Guinea Basu, and then Guinea. And those two are in Africa. So, you got like four places. So I'm just like, okay, well, which one? And it turns out that, my grandmother's grandma, she's from New Zealand. She's a Pacific Islander, and it is possible she could have come from blackbirding, but I'm not 100% sure. And it could, but then I kind of doubt it because I saw like the record of her being on electoral rolls, and I doubt they was having slaves vote. so, yeah, it's a lot that comes with ancestry, So that's why it's important, to ask questions like that too, because um, if I would have known what I know now, I would have got the world membership instead of the basic membership, because I know a lot of us be like, oh, I can't really find any documents of my family. But what membership are you getting from, ancestry.com, or like where are you looking? Because you may have to pay a little bit more just to get access to more documents that will really lead you to the paper trail you're looking for. And also bonus question too. But this is the question you should ask yourself. What is the goal of your genealogy tree research? Is it just to learn more about your ancestry? Is it to build a case against the United States government about how they reclassified you and your ancestors? Like, what exactly are you doing this genealogy research for? So I feel like when you really know what you want to accomplish by doing this genealogy research, um, you'll be able to really narrow down the questions you want to ask too. So definitely figure out why you want to do your genealogy research, and then also ask questions according to that goal that you want to achieve. So I hope this video has helped you guys. um Genealogy has been big for me the past, 4 years, 3, 4 years. So I hope this information helps y'all guys. I love y'all. If y'all have any other questions or topics y'all want me to discuss, feel free to comment it below. And until the next time, bye.